When you get on a school bus, the one thing you expect is that you will get taken to and from school. But what if I told you that one time, when me and a bunch of other kids were on a school bus, we got picked up, but we never actually made it to school. And on top of that, 2 of the students who were on that bus disappeared. What happened? Well, let me tell you. The day started with everyone being super excited because we were being taken to Six Flags Magic Mountain. Our school had a fundraiser raising money, and whichever class raised the most got a free trip to Six Flags. And the people in my class really love roller coasters, so we were grinding to make sure we won. And ultimately, we did. So we were the only class in this whole school who got to go on this trip. And we were all super excited for it. All the other students were really jealous because they were doing schoolwork while we get to ride roller coasters. But trust me, after what happened that day, everyone in my class wishes that we didn't win that fundraiser. We met up at school super early in the morning, while it was still dark. Everyone had on these ridiculous looking neon green shirts that were so bright, you could probably see us from space, just so the teacher could keep track of us while we were in the amusement park. And our whole class was absolutely buzzing, because we thought we were about to have the best day ever. There's just something about doing fun activities while everyone else is in school that makes it feel 10 times more fun. So there we are with our teacher and 2 chaperones waiting for our school bus to come pick us up. After a couple minutes, we see the school bus pull up and there's a collective cheer between all the students. The school bus driver, who, if I remember correctly, was named Rudy, opens the door. Now let me tell you a little bit about Rudy so you can understand why the day went so wrong later. Rudy was not a dude that loved his job. Because you would think if someone signed up for a job to be a bus driver, they would at least like kids. Not in a weird way, but what I mean is Rudy did not enjoy his job. He would never talk to any of us while we were on the bus. He was simply there to pick us up, drop us off, and collect a paycheck. So keep this in mind for later in the story. Because we all get on the school bus, say hi to Rudy, he doesn't say hi back, and we start driving towards Six Flags Magic Mountain. Now for those of you who don't know where this amusement park is, it's basically in the middle of the desert. So it gets super hot in this area, and you're not next to any major cities where there's a bunch of people around. And you might think this must be the point where everything went wrong and something crazy happened while we were on the school bus, but not quite, because the ride to the amusement park was perfectly fine. After about an hour of driving, we got to Six Flags and went into the amusement park. And while we were actually inside there, we had an amazing time. You sprint through the entrance like you've been freed from prison. Everyone's screaming something different. We're hitting the Superman ride first. I want to go on X2. I want a funnel cake. Can you guess who said that part? But we went on every roller coaster possible that day. We didn't stop until my back felt like it was gonna get blown out if I went on another one. Why do I keep making everything sound so accidentally freaky? Whatever, let's keep going. By about 5 p.m., it was time for us to leave. Our teacher makes an announcement for the whole class saying, 15 minutes to the bus area. This is your final call. And once we got back to that bus waiting for us in the Six Flags parking lot, this is where everything started to get weird. Everyone piled into the bus, sunburnt, exhausted, and ready to get back to school. Once we were all inside, we started driving out of the parking lot. We were all super tired. Everyone's eyelids were getting heavy, voices were starting to get lower, and pretty much the whole bus was just a bunch of kids sleeping. But about 15 minutes into our drive back, the unexpected happened. A loud noise comes out of nowhere that wakes everyone in the bus up. The bus jerked for a second and then pulls over to the side to see what just happened. After coming to a stop, Rudy, our bus driver, tells everyone to stay inside and he's gonna go check it out. After about 30 seconds, he comes back inside and tells our teacher the worst news we could have heard. A tire popped. If you've never heard a bus tire explode, it basically sounds like a balloon popping from right under you. You could smell hot rubber, which I can confirm is not a good smell. And all the kids are reacting differently. Some clapped because we're just dumb. One of them asked if we just hit a deer. Yeah, Jerry, there's deer in the desert. Use your brain, kid. Our teacher, Miss Patel, told us all the same thing. Everyone stay seated. The bus clearly couldn't go any further, so Rudy turned off the engine, got on his radio and started talking to, I don't know, the bus Illuminati or something? I don't know. And he told us that we're gonna need another bus to come pick us up. In the desert, in 105-degree weather. For all the European people watching, that's like 4 degrees Celsius. I don't know, I'm a stupid American, whatever. But the moment he turned off that engine, a real problem arrived. Heat. If you've never been inside a bus, which for some reason don't all have AC in them, it's awful. But like, how are we in 2025 and we still don't have AC in all the buses? We've literally got robot girlfriends, well, at least I do, but no AC in school buses? Doesn't make much sense to me. But point is, the bus was starting to feel like a sauna. The air stops moving. The windows crack open like they're actually gonna help with something, but then all they do is funnel the desert heat directly into your face. Like imagine someone standing 2 inches away from you with a hairdryer set to the temperature of a sidewalk in Arizona. That's what it felt like in there. You could feel the temperature jump super quickly. And after just a few minutes, Everyone in that school bus is looking like they just finished playing a game in the finals with how sweaty we're all getting. You knew it was bad when the students weren't even joking about the situation because we didn't have the energy to anymore. And you may be wondering, how could this lead to a couple students disappearing just a little bit later? Well, it will all make sense very soon, because here's where the grown-up debate started. After the bus driver and our teacher started talking, she gave us the facts. Our right rear tire got blown out, a replacement bus is reportedly on the way, and although she knew we were all super hot from being inside this bus, she said none of us were allowed to leave it because we were right on the freeway and it was dangerous to be that close to cars. So her idea to help with the heat was just to open every window in the school bus, which basically was the equivalent of putting a singular ice cube inside the sun. It didn't do anything. The heat did not care at all. It just kept climbing and climbing. I could feel sweat dripping down from my back to my crack. By the way, does anyone else think it kind of tickles when it falls down there? No? Just me? Okay. No, I know you guys think it too. You're just too embarrassed to say it. Whatever, doesn't matter. You know what? Actually, it does matter, because deep down, we all know it tickles. But anyways, the heat was getting so unbearable that kids were starting to take off any extra article of clothing they had. Permission slips became fans. People were using the park map as a fan. One kid took off his shoes and socks, which in that moment, I wouldn't have been that angry if he decided to get off the bus and walk into the freeway. But that was just the heat anger talking. I looked out the window and started to laugh. Not because anything was funny, but because this felt so staged. Just in the middle of the desert, no matter where you looked, no city for miles. By this point, the sun was starting to set behind the mountains, but the heat was still radiating like the earth forgot to turn the oven off. 5 minutes turned into 10, turned into 20. The radio squawked, our teacher listened, and then she came back with an update that no one wanted to hear. The buses are delayed because they didn't have any on standby, so they had to wait for the next available one. She didn't say how much longer it would take, but it didn't matter. We all knew that we weren't going to be able to last much longer in here. Instead of people making a bunch of jokes, now everyone was just whining. Various people tried to call their parents and quickly discovered that SpongeBob has a better chance of passing his driver's test than you getting cell service out in the middle of the desert. Someone suggested opening the emergency exit to let a breeze through, but when they reached for that door, Miss Patel became Usain Bolt and ran over to it. Immediately she says, absolutely not. She didn't want to add, student fell into traffic as one of the many bad things that happened that day. But then something happened to where it became clear that we could not stay on this bus any longer because a kid throws up, understandably. So immediately when that happened, our teacher had no choice. We were getting sick on the bus now, so she gets up right away and says, okay, we're opening the doors now. She goes toward Rudy, the bus driver, gives him a nod, and the doors open. The desert air spilled in like we let the sun climb aboard the bus. It was still hot outside, but at least the air out there was moving. It wasn't like a recycled soup like inside this bus. So in an organized order, they started letting us out. Front 2 rows, step out, but stay on the dirt. Do not step near the white line. Do not wander. Stay together. We went down those school bus stairs like we were about to take our first steps on the moon. After we get out of the bus, we can see cars driving by doing that nosy stare they always do. It's always like this. But the instant relief of stepping out of that bus was real. Fresh air on your skin, space for your lungs to actually breathe. Our teacher made sure that every kid was standing together in a group, and you could tell she was stressing this whole time. Nobody sit on the guardrail. Get your feet away from the pavement. No, you cannot go pee over there. Absolutely not. After about 10 minutes outside, and the fact that all of us kids had the attention span of a fly, we start messing with each other. One of the kids started eating stale popcorn and became the stock market of our school bus because he was the only kid who had food and we were starving. So we were all paying him quarters just for a handful of that popcorn. Another group of students formed a circle and played rock, paper, scissors for chances to have a little sip of Gatorade. I was doing the dumbest thing ever, just refreshing my phone, hoping for some cell service, but instead of it saying 5G or LTE, it just said LOL. You could tell our teacher was stressing while all this was going on, trying to find the balance between not having kids pass out from heat exhaustion on the school bus, but also not losing them or letting them play Frogger on the freeway where cars are going 90 miles per hour. But her worst nightmare became true right after. Because as everyone is trying not to freak out, the first big problem came when one of the students said, hey, where's Leo? Leo was a student, and after someone said this, we all started kind of looking around, doing a scan of the area, expecting to find him. But after about 30 seconds of looking, it was like he vanished. No one knew where he was at. So our teacher starts panicking even more because a flat tire on the freeway, nothing you can do about it. But losing a student, that doesn't look good on the resume. So as she's panicking, and we're all searching for Leo, we realize something. Another student, Joey, was missing. He also isn't here. So now the whole world is falling apart because 2 students have somehow randomly disappeared with everything else going on. Basically, our teacher now was officially on fraud watch. Like, she was generationally bad at keeping her eye on students. Because losing 1, okay, I get it. Kids are sneaky. But losing 2, you're just not on your game today if that happens. And now, all of a sudden, the heat was no longer the priority. Our teacher did not care if we were hot or throwing up. She was gonna make sure that she didn't lose any more students. So with a shaky but stern voice, she goes, "Everyone back on the bus now. We're doing a roll call." All of the students groaned because we didn't want to go back on that bus. Like, was this that big of a deal? None of us really liked Joey or Leo anyway. Nah, I'm kidding. But still, we didn't want to go back on. It felt like a sauna in there. But you can't argue with the teacher, so we did. And once everyone was back on that bus, our teacher did a head count, making sure she didn't lose any more students. Low-key though, like, she needed to calm down. It's not like she lost the whole class. Like, I think if we got back to school and there was only 2 students missing, she could have got away with it, right? It's like when you're a kid and your mom tells you to finish eating all your food. As long as most of the food is gone, who cares if there's just a little bit left over? No big deal. Like, coming back with 28 out of 30 students is a 93%, which would get you an A in school. Although this was real people we're talking about and not chicken nuggets. But still, point stands. After we established that Leo and Joey were nowhere to be seen, our teacher started asking us if anyone knew where they were at. As kids do, we start making stuff up. Leo went off into the desert. Joey went back to ride more roller coasters. Someone saw both of them heading for the McDonald's 3 miles back. Nothing that actually helped our teacher figure out where they went. Our teacher's scrambling for ideas on what to do, and she starts giving us tasks. Everyone check under seats for bags or backpacks. See if their stuff is still here. After checking, we found Joey's backpack, but not Joey. I saw the teacher and chaperone whispering to each other about what the best thing to do in this situation was. But I'm pretty sure their hearing must be bad because I heard one of them say to the other, "We have to call 911. When she said this, now I knew it was serious. I was kind of getting excited when I heard that because, like, heck yeah, my boy Leo is about to be on an Amber Alert? That's awesome. Time was passing by in what felt like slow motion. And by now, the sun had already set, and we had no idea how much longer the replacement bus was gonna take. It felt like whoever was coming to rescue us must have blown their tire on the freeway too, because that's how long they were taking. So we're all just sitting inside the bus, basically melting away, looking out the windows. I see a coyote trotting by in the distance, and it makes me think, what if Leo and Joey got snatched up by one of those? Would not be good. But I was out of any other explanations by this point. These were the thoughts I resulted to after sitting in that hot bus so long. But then finally, after waiting approximately 700 hours, I see big bright lights flash up from behind us. It gets closer to us and closer until it's right behind us, and then it stops and turns off its engine. When their lights shut off, we can see that it's yellow. What did that mean? Our replacement bus was finally here. Seeing that bus made me feel 3 emotions at the exact same time. Hope, hunger, and fear. Hope, because finally our replacement bus was here and I wasn't gonna pass away from a heat stroke. Hunger, because, well, you know why. But fear? Fear came from the fact that 2 students were still missing and we still had no idea where they were at. There was no Amber Alert update on them yet, so the jury was still out on what happened. We all get out of our original school bus and head towards that new one. Cheering took over among all the students. The kind of cheer people do when a plane lands. No, I'm the only one that claps when the plane lands. Whatever, and it doesn't matter. But our teacher got us on that other bus as quickly as possible. We're getting on the other bus. Grab your bags, go in a single file line, and do not veer off. We started boarding, but the whole time we're doing this, I just couldn't stop thinking about what was about to happen next. Are we just gonna leave without 2 of the students? Hopefully. Or are we gonna stay here until we find them? Please no. Or are we gonna drive around looking for them like we're playing Where's Waldo? Hopefully not that either, because I was starving. But the moment we stepped onto that new school bus, I didn't care what we did next. Because what I didn't realize before stepping onto this one was that it had air conditioning, which meant we didn't have to rely on the tiny breeze coming from the windows to cool us down anymore. So that got rid of our biggest problem. Well, unless you say the 2 students that disappeared is a bigger problem. But personally, I think that was our biggest problem. Anyways, after we all board the school bus, it's just our teacher and the chaperone left outside. And the driver of the new school bus says, "We're ready to go whenever you guys are." But our teacher breaks down the situation to him, saying that we can't leave yet because 2 students are missing. It was kind of funny, actually. This is how it went. "Ready to go whenever you guys are." "Yeah, you see, we're missing 2 students, like they just disappeared, so we kind of have to wait for them to get back." "Get back from where? Where are they?" "Yeah, see, that's the problem. We don't really know, so Yeah. When she says that, the new bus driver looks like he just saw a ghost with his reaction. And I don't blame him. As we're on the school bus, waiting to find out what the next steps are going to be, trying to find the other students, our teacher gets a phone call. She quickly answers it, and from the way she was talking, it was clear that she was on the phone with someone from our school. This must have meant one thing. She was getting fired for losing students. No, I'm just kidding. Unless. But this is what she did during the phone call. Wait, say that again? Oh, thank goodness. Okay, thank you so much. After she hung up the phone, she got on the bus and told the bus driver that we were good to go back to campus. Finally, the school must have called her and told her that it's okay to leave these 2 students out in the desert. We don't need them. No, that's not what happened. But she did tell us what actually happened. Because all the students are acting super nosy, asking where Leo and Joey are. And she wasn't going to escape it, so she told us what they did. So here it is. One of the missing kids, Leo, called his aunt. Somehow, I don't know how he got cell service because I couldn't, but whatever. He told his aunt about the situation, how they were so miserable, how they were stranded in the desert, and his aunt, who I've never met before, but clearly seems like a very proactive person, was apparently not far from this area anyway because she worked out here. Not super close, but like 30 minutes away. So Leo asked his aunt if she could come pick him up since he knew that she was close by anyway. Of course, his aunt agreed and came, swooped him up like an Uber driver, and they left. But this still leaves 2 questions. Why would his aunt not inform the teacher or chaperone that she was picking up her nephew? And 2, what about the other missing student, Joey? Well, I guess Leo told his aunt that all the other students were getting picked up by their parents too. So she didn't know that everyone was still stranded on that bus. Okay, that kind of makes sense. But still, where is Joey? Well, Leo and Joey were good friends. Everyone knew that, which was kind of why it made sense that they were the 2 that got lost. But when Leo told Joey that his aunt was coming to pick him up, Joey asked if he could get a ride back too. Leo said, yeah, of course. So they got in her car when she arrived, shut the door, and drove off back home without telling anyone. So that was it. They didn't get eaten by coyotes. They didn't go back to the amusement park. And for us, we just drove back to school a couple hours later than originally planned. But the only thing this whole situation did was make me wish that the magic school bus was a real thing.